In this video, we are going over how to create equations in graph quadratics in factored or intercept form. For your equation, it will be y equals a x minus p times x minus q. P and q are your intercepts. So if I know that x equals -4 and x equals -2, when I go up here to factor it, I'll have x plus 4 and I will have an x plus 2. Then I check, it goes up 1 over 1, so there's just a 1 in front. I have x equals -5, x equals -1. When I factor those, I get x plus 5 and an x plus 1. I check my pattern, it goes up 1 over 1. It goes by 1 in front. 38, x equals 0, x equals 2. When I plug them in, I get x minus 0, x minus 2. And it goes up 1 over 1, so I don't have to worry about that front. If you want to rewrite it, you can also write it as 1x times x minus 2, because you don't have to write the 0 in. On 39, I have x equals -6, x equals -2. Factor it. Oops. X plus 6, x plus 2. Up 1 over 1. Intercepts, x equals 2, x equals 6, x minus 2. I just changed the signs from my x. And then it's going down 1 this time, so it's a -1 in front. Intercepts, x equals -3, x equals -1. When I factor it, it's a plus 3 and a plus 1. Down 2 over 1. This one's down 2 this time. X equals -3, x equals -1. When I factor them, I get x plus 3, x plus 1. Change the signs when we plug them in. And it's going up by 1, 2, 3. X equals -7, x equals -5. That means plus 7, plus 5. Up 2 over 1. 2 goes in front. Now we are going to graph them. This is a little bit more difficult because you know that x will be a +1, x will be a +3. Then you have to determine where that middle dot will be. So what you do is you check for the middle, for the vertex. I know that it's at 2, right? If you count in, it's at +2. You plug that in. So I'm going to have parenthesis 2 minus 1, 2 minus 3. When I enter that in, I get a -1. That's where my vertex goes, and I know that my U will open up. On 45, I know that this x is equal to -1, this x is equal to a +1. Put my dots. Now the middle for the vertex would be at 0, and I have to plug it in and see where it's at. So 0 plus 1, parenthesis, 0 minus 1 is 0 down 1, put a dot, and I know it opens up, and it is a U shape because of the 2 sets of parentheses. I have x equals -2, x equals a +2. Put my dots. I look for the center, which would be 0 for the vertex. I plug that in. Watch out for the negative parenthesis 0 plus 2, 0 minus 2 is 4. 0 up 4. And make sure it makes a U shape, and it opens down because of the negative. This x equals 0, this x equals a +2. I put my dots, which means my vertex will be at 1 comma something. 1 parenthesis 1 minus 2 equals 1 down 1, and it opens up because it's a positive in front. On 48, the vertex will be off the graph. Just graph it the best that you can. On 49, I take out this and I get x equals -3, x equals -1. -2 is the middle value, so I type it in, -2 parenthesis, -2 plus 3, -2 plus 1 is a +2, and I draw my parabola opening down. Example 50, I have x equals 2, x equals 8. I look for the middle number, which would be 5. -1 divided by 2, parenthesis, I plug in a +5 minus 2, 5 minus 8 is 4.5, so I go up 1, 2, 3, 4.5, and draw my parabola. (51) x equals 1, x equals 3. 2 is my middle value, so I plug -3 parenthesis 2 minus 1. 2 minus 3 is +3, and my graph makes a parabola opening down. It says solve by factoring. X is going front. 4 times 3 is 12. Both positive will add up to 7. To solve it, x equals -4, x equals -3. Factor 53. I put the b's in front. 5 times 7 is 35. My signs will be a positive and a negative to add up to -2, which means b equals -5, and this b equals a +7. I can factor out a k from both, which would leave k minus 4 equals 0. This k doesn't have a number. This k would equal +4. Factor, I put b and b. 1 times 4, negative, positive. That gives you -3 when you add them up. The first factor equals -1. The second factor will equal 4 when you solve.